Hello, so I won't be wearing all this very long. I just thought it'd look good on a thumbnail. But yeah, the latest update is our actual UK health minister and everything is saying he's very worried. So that's a good sign, isn't it? When a few days ago they said, oh no, it's just the flu, get a flu jab, wash your hands. Now they're saying, oh, actually, it's really, really bad. So, that's something to consider, isn't it? Don't forget to like the stream, everybody. Right, I need to really stop using this filter because obviously it's leaking a little bit of charcoal. You can't see it on my tongue. Now, I was wondering if you could see it on my tongue, but every time I use this filter with masks, I always can taste charcoal. So, yeah, I need to just have that as a display filter, really, and not actually use it with masks. But, yeah. So I'll put my glasses back on and read the chat. Well, the Israeli M15, it's a very good mask. But the filter's actually not from that, what you're going to be honest about, Shot Zombie, or that the UK minister's actually very worried rather than them saying, oh, it's not bad. But I think it's because of how fast it's developed in South Korea and Italy. They're realising, oh, it's not just like a few people get ill now and then with it. But yeah, if you've been following the news, you will have seen on the news just how quickly, different media outlets have suddenly gone from basically playing it down to suddenly being worried. And this is the thing a lot of people had warned about, because it causes, the panic buying and everything like that, where if you simply go from it's fine to it's really bad, just like that, it causes panic buying, where what they should have been doing is, following it properly as it went along and saying, here's what some people are saying, here's what other people are saying. Yeah, wasn't that the same one, though, Renzo, that was saying the other day there was nothing wrong at all, and, doctors were lying in Iran, and now look what's happened to him. I feel bad for Iran, but he's got what he deserved if he was trying to downplay it and, do political kind of games when people are dying. Yep, stock market's crashing. I think it was probably when the stock market started crashing that the media changed their tune, because I'm sure a lot of them have financial interests. And then, of course, once the markets crash anyway, there's no point keeping up the illusion that everything's going around fine. Yep. Wasn't that the same thing with the Slovakian or Slovenian Prime Minister or something, that he might be coming down with it, and he's been meeting lots of people as well? So that means it's 100% aerosol spread, doesn't it, Jip? Because if China's saying, oh, it might be under certain circumstances, that means it is. I thought they already said it is cancelled, Ireland versus Italy. Cheers, person whose name is very long in one word that I'm not going to pronounce, but thank you. Well, quarantines make a lot of sense, but you need to quarantine sensibly. Yeah, apparently P3 is absolutely fine, P100 is absolutely fine for airborne. That was the good news yesterday. Like, the only good news, but that was good news. But remember, as we were saying the other day, is the most important thing is just, knowing when it comes to the time where you need to self-quarantine and just, pull up the drawbridge. Not actually, because like we said, masks are useful, but they're only so useful. I've got an MCU2P, which is the old version, kind of the Millennium. I don't have one personally. If you can get a Millennium for a good price, it's worth it. If it's really expensive, don't. I don't think crypto is necessarily going to do you much good here. I'm not going to speculate on how good crypto is, compared to regular currencies. The point is, crypto is not going to help you buy stuff in the real world if there's people panic buying and shops are low on stock. Yeah, what Magic Platypus says, don't go crazy with it, but you're going to have to think very soon that shelves in the UK might start clearing out, or other countries where they've been saying it was fine until now, because the shift is. Yep. Oh, I'm sure you can make use of them now, Shot Zombie. No, I do not think anybody is displaying zombie-like behavior. I've seen lots of videos of people collapsing, but that's not zombie behavior, is it? But yeah, all my videos coming out at the moment are all gas mask related, pretty much, and respiratory stuff related, because obviously a lot more people are interested in that. Although there will be a video coming out when my last bit of kit arrives for it, of all my British Geiger counters and like dosimeters and British radiation detecting equipment, because that will be very relevant. But yeah, I've already said several times I've got a bit more prescription meds because I spoke to the doctors about it and they let me put an early request through. So I've got enough to last me, in any sensible self-quarantining time. Thank you very much, Dylan. Because I think the health minister has realised how quickly it's spread in other countries that if it hits us that fast in our country, our health services won't cope, which has been obvious to everybody from the beginning. But the problem is our politicians were playing it would be fine, telling people not to worry at all, it's 100% fine. And now they've suddenly turned on panic mode because, the simple fact is if you require lots of people hospitalised in a very short time, there isn't enough oxygen tanks, breathing machines to go around, which is like Dr. John Campbell's channel. He's been saying that for weeks, and other people have been saying, look what's happening in China, these hospitals are overwhelmed. But then people are saying, oh, it can't happen here, or if it happens here, it'll be slow. The most important thing with something like this is to slow the amount of infection down. Because if you can slow infection, it means that hospitals won't be so overwhelmed, medical services won't be so overwhelmed. If everybody just gets it at once, that's it. Because if 20% of people that catch it, 1 in 5 people that catch it, end up needing, extensive hospital treatment to not die, and hospitals get overwhelmed, it means it'll have a 20% mortality rate. I don't know how well communities in the UK could self-isolate or elsewhere, but I mean, that would help. But again, well shot, Zombie. I've got enough radiation detecting equipment, so if anything does go Chernobyl there, I can report if I'm seeing any fallout with any of my dosimeters or anything. Let's hope that's not true, but Well, thank you very much, Sean. You said, is there a usable alternative to LDY filters, or are they proprietary? Let me search them, because I've never heard of them before. LDY filters. It's saying, did you mean Lee filters? No, I don't. Let's see. Looking at these, I'm trying to see what the connector is on them. I don't know what... I've never seen ones like this. I think these might be a rip-off of the Sundstrom filters. Because it seems like a Chinese company, I'm assuming they are a rip-off of somebody else's filters. It might be Sundstrom. But I've never used them before, so I don't know. But they certainly don't look like 40mm. They look too fat for that. They look more like 60mm size things. And I know Sundstrom has kind of a weird screw thread. Right, let me just... Yeah, right, random content. Let me get a page up with those filters again. Assuming these are the same ones, if the link will fit in the chat. Right, if you click that and tell me, do they look like the Sundstrom filters? Somebody tell you what was a nerve agent shot, Zombie. I've seen people collapsing as though they've been infected with a nerve agent, but it's certainly, obviously, nerve agents can't spread around from people breathing them in and out. They're dispersed via shells or whatever. What town are you in? That weapons do, Jim, but stay safe. I really don't know, Geltops. Different countries are imposing different rules. What the UK is saying is basically anybody that's been to northern parts of Italy in like the last 2 weeks now should self-quarantine. Well, Shot Zombie, I've also heard that it's because of 5G antennas, that if they put a 5G antenna in your area, it causes you to have basically a pneumonial sort of plague, which clearly can't happen according to science. I mean, if people were to say 5G antennas might weaken your immune system and then make you more susceptible, that might be a bit more believable. but simply saying a 5G antenna gives you a viral infection. No, that can't happen. Ionizing radiation can't even do that. It can weaken your immune system, but it can't bloody give you a... Wow, Peach, here's an interesting thing. By the sound of it, you won't necessarily get sick pay, but it sounds like by law in the UK, if you've been somewhere where you may have been at an infection risk, your job can't say anything if you phone in and say, I'm taking 2 or 3 weeks off. By the sound of it, Pete, yeah, if you've been somewhere you may be at risk and you actually have symptoms, just like a cold or flu symptoms, it seems like the UK government's telling you, play it safe, don't go into work. And I imagine if your job fired you or did you on a disciplinary for that, they could get in a lot of shit. Well, I'm glad they're closing the schools, the Sparrow, because you'd hate kids to die or, spread it easily, wouldn't you? Because although lots of people are saying it doesn't seem to affect kids, there's enough videos. I mean, it's up to people if they want to look them up, and we can't obviously verify them, of dead children, sadly, from this. So I personally don't believe the Chinese numbers when they say, kids only have like a 0.000 something % chance of catching it and then dying from it. Personally, I think the more quarantining we do at the moment, the better. If it hurts the economy in the short term, so be it. I think it's bound to hit everywhere at this point. It's just a question of when, not if, and how much you can slow it. Yeah, have you seen the video shot, Zombie, from Wuhan when it first happened, where it literally looks like people crowding into a stadium, where how they're just, there's just swarms of people trying to get into the hospital because they've all got the symptoms? Don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because that does help YouTube share it, especially as they demonetize these, because the World Health Organization doesn't like anybody but them talking about COVID-19. Well, you can always use it for other stuff afterwards, Mario. The WHO has lost all credibility, Marco. Just don't listen to them. If you want to know the very simple answer that everybody's speculated, and I have to say allegedly, because I imagine you can be sued otherwise, is that the World Health Organization receives a lot of its funding from China. They don't want to upset China, so when the Chinese Communist Party fucks up and it affects everybody in the World Health Organization is tiptoeing around the issue. It's just a simple conflict of interests. He who pays the piper calls the tune. That should be simple for people to understand, but a lot of people don't. So yeah, as much as the WHO has been a good organization in the past, it seems recently they've been getting worse and worse for, we wouldn't want to upset any of our big funding member states. P3, P100, Black Spider, HD, or a combination filter that includes that. But that's not their job, is it, to prevent damage to markets? World Health Organization. Imagine if your doctor, you went in because you needed a medicine, and your doctor said to you, I'm not going to advise you on the medicine you might need because that might cost you money. Go away, I'm sure ibuprofen would help. Again, this is why it's kind of bad when certain agencies get politicized. Oh, thank you very much, IK. Let me add you. If you're just wearing the particulate filters, you'll rarely have to do it, because unless you're in a very smoggy, horrible, smoky environment, there's not going to be enough pollution to warrant changing them. If viral particles get stuck in the filter, they're not coming out. So that's not a problem in that regard. Right, it sent you a thing. I'll invite you to the server in a second. Up to you, Gel Tops. As I said, I can never make decisions like that for people. It will depend how the local authorities or people might react, how safe you want to play it. I've seen pictures of like people in supermarkets now panic buying in Western Europe with like gas masks on or dust masks and things like that. So, I think it's evident to a lot of people that some people have basically said, I'm not going to even play by any rules now. I'm, going to do it. But again, these are the people who are panic buying like 1 or 2 shopping trolleys worth of goods, where if they'd have just been buying a little bit more than their usual shop the last couple of weeks, it wouldn't be hurting other people as much. But I don't know, Peach. Maybe it's a lag thing. Hamish, you're going to get a warning now, but that is complete bullshit. What is the R naught of corona compared to the flu, and what is the mortality rate? It's higher than both, so you are talking shit. Right, let's go over that just in case you're not a China shill. But look, so if you go on China's lowest estimates, where they say it's something like a 0.7 mortality rate, that still makes it about 7 times higher than seasonal flu, which is about a 0.1% mortality rate. So, on those two things, this is 7 times more deadly than the flu. However, it's got a higher R naught than the flu. We don't know the exact R naught at the moment, but it could be as high as 4. So, that means it's basically going to spread a lot more easily than the flu, because the seasonal flu is like 1.2 R naught. So it spreads more easily than the flu, and even if you go off the lowest propaganda numbers, it's 7 times more deadly than the flu. If you go off what China's numbers from like Hubei province, where Wuhan is, they're saying it's about a 3% mortality rate, about 30 times more deadly than the seasonal flu. If you go off the official numbers Iran are using, let's just have a look at the map at the second. It's in the description if anyone wants to look. Iran, on numbers that probably aren't accurate, is at 16.8% mortality rate, which means it's about 168 times more deadly than the seasonal flu. But it could very well be higher numbers than that if the doctors in Iran are to be believed, and I believe in more than politicians. So probably 300, 400, 500 times more deadly than the flu. So comparing it to the flu is a stupid comparison. So don't keep spouting that stupid bullshit. Yeah, exactly, shot zombie. Cut the phone lines. Prevent the spread of misinformation. That's very sad truth, love and honour. But I really wish we were getting the true numbers out of a lot of places. But yeah. I can't understand how anybody says it's just like the flu if 20% of the people that get it need severe hospital treatment to not die, and it spreads faster than the flu. And I'm not saying that to scaremonger, I'm saying that if you've been looking at the facts coming out for a while that the media is slowly playing catch up on. Not all media things. Some media things have been very good from the start. Al Jazeera was quite critical of China, and saying about all the reports. And there's a few other, like independent journalists and that who have been delving deep. But the problem is the media has been in that mode of don't hurt the economy, tell everybody it's fine. Repeat the same at the flu line over and over. Swine flu was a lot worse than the regular flu, but luckily it seemed to burn out quite quickly. But there's also the Spanish flu, which a lot of people don't mention. The 1918 flu, which killed 50 to 100 million people. I suppose that was just the flu as well, wasn't it? Thank you very much, Barocco, for the donation. He says, what would you treat oil your gas mask rubber? I use silicone lubricant. I'll get it down and show you. Thank you for the donation. But you can also use alcohol sanitizer wipes and things like that. But this is a good preservative on most masks. Silicone lubricant. There you go. I thought the Spanish flu was a bird flu, wasn't it? An avian flu, rather than swine flu. Yeah, the reason, this is the funny thing, a few people have pointed this out to me in comments, but I did notice, the reason it was called the Spanish flu is because a lot of people thought it originated in Spain, but that was just because the Spanish media was truthful about what was happening, rather than trying to downplay it in case it hurt the war effort. Oh, thank you very much, Andros. I really appreciate that donation. Is that Hungarian florins? He says, I have a Draeger Explore half mask that use 2 bayonet filters P3. When should I replace the filters? Have you considered buying an oxygen concentrator? I don't really know anything about them, and I know there's a lot of stuff like that where if you don't know much about them and don't use them properly, they can do more harm than good. But however, for all your filters, the P3 ones, I'd get at least a couple of spares, but you shouldn't need to change them very often. The reason being that basically, when you have a P3, P100 filter, it clogs up slowly over time with dust and like pollution and things like that. But when it clogs, it just gets harder and harder to breathe through. It doesn't stop working. It actually gets more efficient at filtering, more it clogs. So it's a thing where it's just more of a convenience thing that you want to replace it every couple of months or 6 months or whatever. Thank you very much for random content again. If it's a 6-point head harness, and I think it is, isn't it, Steve? The M40 it is. They would probably fit the S10 if you rigged them up right. Whether or not they'd be very good, I don't know. But most 6-point head harnesses you can rig up onto other masks as long as the strap systems, like the straps aren't kind of galvanized on, or whatever the word is, when you have like rubber, vulcanized, isn't it? Vulcanized rubber. Yeah, good advice there, Slavphil. I know a lot of people always argue against all those points, but a lot of people I've never seen properly counteract it with, evidence-based stuff. They've just said, I don't believe it works. Thank you very much, Gunner Guider. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody. I hate shouting that out all the time. It's just, generally, YouTube shares the videos more when people actually like them, because then they go, people are interacting with it. Sadako said, in 2017, Tedros of The Who was accused of covering up the cholera outbreak in Ethiopia. Wonder if he's doing the same thing to keep the donors happy. Could very well be. Like I said, and that's the thing. I can't say for, real or not if that's the case, because I don't know. We'll have to say the words allegedly. I don't want to get sued by anybody, but it's very suspicious. And I think the longer and longer they withdraw from saying it's a pandemic, and they've been downplaying it all along, kicking the can down the road, the more and more suspicious it gets. Prepper Shop, maybe. That Weapons Dude Gym, but I've not used them, but I think Mike has and a few other people, and they like them. I'd always say Blades and Bows, but sadly they're not around anymore. I've never used the On90. I know Myra do a version of it, don't they, where they give it a different name. It's probably an alright mask. It's similar to the S10, isn't it? But I've never used it. I hope so, City Jared. I hope any sort of authoritarian regime gets knocked down a peg or even overthrown due to this. But sadly, I have no idea. I mean, a lot of people are calling it Chernobyl for a reason, because it has lots and lots of eerie parallels with Chernobyl. When you have a disaster and then your authoritarian government is more concerned about, persecuting people that speak the truth about it than trying to deal with it. But, who knows? It's impossible to say. I mean, apparently a lot of Chinese people have lost faith, if we can believe it, because I don't know who's claiming that, because, a lot of them are hidden behind a firewall. I think a lot of Chinese people, especially when that doctor died, was it Dr. Lee, who was trying to warn people about it, and then the government basically went after him rather than helping, because how dare you spread misinformation and rumor monger, or whatever they said. Brilliant communist weasel words there. But yeah, who knows? Yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Dan V. I really appreciate that. I appreciate if you've got any questions, ask. I mean, anybody ask. But yeah, it's just I'm into masks and NBC gear, so some of it is quite applicable to the questions people are asking. For all the people who keep saying, when do we start wearing masks? When it gets bad in your area, the sooner you wear them, the safer you'll be, but also might mean you're a bit ostracized. So you have to make, the choice for yourself. I think a lot of it should be done in tiers, a bit like with shopping. What you should have been doing for a while is putting a bit more food or whatever on your weekly grocery shop or whatever, so you'd got a bit more in the cupboards. I think with masks, similar thing. Start off wearing a dust mask, maybe, and then escalate to half face, full face masks as and when you think it's getting bad enough. Obviously, not getting infected is far more important than confitting to social norms, I would say, but I just know in some places you might get even kicked off of public transport or something stupid for going on with a mask. Yeah, don't forget to like. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Yeah, I did have somebody complain the other day that I talk too much about masks. Oh, that's because I'm into them, and that's what I can advise people on for my channel. Other channels that specialize on other things could be much better at giving medical advice. And I have said to people, washing your hands is important, not touching your face, spraying stuff down, surfaces, all those sort of things. But again, I would trust the medical channels to tell you a lot more about that. And, I trust myself to give out more accurate information on masks, because it's just what I'm a lot more interested in. That's interesting. Are we screwed? And thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ilmas Anglo. I will add you. I'll have to look up what that condition is because I don't actually know, in all honesty, off the top of my head. I'm not going to pretend that I do. Surgical procedure which consists of making incisions to the anterior aspect of the neck and opening a direct airway for it. I really don't know. So you'd need some way of filtering the airway in your neck. Ooh, that is tough. I don't want to give you advice that could be dangerous. Is there any filter medium that you could put over the hole, or like the opening they've made? Like, is it possible to get like an N95 dust mask and then put that over the thing? I don't know if that would work, but it's the only thing I could think of. I'm just seeing if I can see photos of how it looks actually on a person. So you've essentially got like the air pipe coming out the neck, have you, like that? If it would work, I would advise getting an N95 mask. Something like this. Ooh, let me just get that from under. And seeing if you could get that to go over the thing, or something similar. Some sort of filter medium like that. That's the only thing I could suggest. I wouldn't want to give you advice on that, really, in case I'm giving you bad advice. Maybe see if you can get a doctor to advise you on that, because I'm sure that there's stuff where they could, advise. Is there such a thing, William? But if so, that would work. I don't know how much air you could pull through that, though. That's the only thing. It depends. Do you do a lot of shooting, Tubby Duck? If you do shooting, generally 2 eyepieces. If you just want a good all-round field of view, a panoramic lens. Although modern panoramic lenses are getting better and better for getting good sight pictures and things like that. A Check M10 will be adequate enough, yes. It's not my favourite mask by quite a long mile. For people who've watched my old videos on it will know. But in terms of will the filters in it protect you, yes, if it makes an airtight seal to your face. Roman, thank you very much for your donation. You said, just got a US FM12 delivered today. Oh, technically it's made by Britain. It's an Avon mask, but you could have had one made in the US Avon factory. Sorry to interrupt you there. What do you think about it? Good or bad mask? Oh, if you don't know, the FM12 is one of my favourite masks. Right, my actual FM12 I keep in my car, but my very favourite gas mask is the CT12, which is a different variant of the FM12. So, just to prove that, this is one I have on like an on-the-go, ready-to-go kit, where the CT12 gloves, an emergency NBC suit, and spare filters are all in this satchel. So it's one of those satchels where you can just literally grab it and you've got a mask ready to go. But yeah, the CT12 is my favourite mask. It's just the FM12 without the drinking tube. But yes, the FM12 is a very, very good mask. The only thing I've heard people say isn't good about the FM12 is some people have said if you're running really fast a bit on, it can come loose around your face. But other than that, I've never heard anything bad about it. I mean, some people just won't like it because some people don't like certain things, and it's always opinion-based with a lot of things. I'm sure with some masks, it's a very it's very objective if there is a fault with them or not. But with a lot of masks, it generally just does come down to if certain people like certain designs or not. In terms of how many gas masks do I have, 127 Seymour. I probably have around 150-ish, but I've been given some to friends and family recently who just need masks, who are worried. If I know anybody personally that says to me, I'm worried and I can't find masks, I'll just give them at this point. People were saying online, could I send it them? And no, because the problem is there's just too many people asking, and I don't know how many of these are people who legit need them. But in terms of masks, I would have more, but at the moment I'm actually starting to clear out a bit of my collection, which is actually kind of nice because it gives me more space, and it's good for when I want to move. But in terms of, I did have probably 150, 160 odd, I should think, of various masks, but with the non-collectible masks now that are actually quite functional, I'm just saying to friends and family members as and when they need masks, look, you're always welcome to one because I've got enough. Thank you again, Roman. Let me see if I can throw in a link for people, Roman, but thank you again, Sportsman Guide. Let's see what masks they've got available. I know that they sell out of filters and masks quite available, don't quickly, but military collectibles, I assume they come under that. Right, there's masks and filters under this category, so I'm just going to post that in the chat. But yeah, thank you again, Roman. I don't know that weapons dude. I really hope he would. I mean, hospitals, at least, they keep very sanitary. Well, at least if it's a good hospital. But, you know, I can't tell you because I don't know if there's going to be somebody in the hospital close to him with the virus. I've never used the 3M full face mask, but a lot of people end up using them, so I'm sure they're completely adequate. The Israeli youth mask is good for children, because that's literally what Israel produces for children. I've never heard of that Demulux, but let me search it. Is that a powered air pump? I'm sure it would be completely adequate. But yeah, it's basically a PAPA system, isn't it? Where you screw a filter into it and then it screws onto the mask, or you screw it onto a hose and it just makes the mask positive pressure and makes breathing very easy. That would be very good for people with breathing difficulties, and it does give you a better level of protection. Only issue is obviously it requires batteries, and it will run the air down. Not run the air down, sorry, it'll clog the filters faster because it's putting more stuff through the filters than when you're breathing normally. But yeah, if you can afford to run a PAPA system, they are good. It's just personally, I've never been a massive fan of them, but that's because I've just never had an issue breathing through filters. But for some people, they'd be a lifesaver, yes. That would be absolutely fine. 3M7502 with P3 or P100 filters. There you go, look. Perfectly adequate. "6 Days, the one about the Iranian embassy siege." Yes, I have seen that. Quite a good movie. If you have a GP5, as I've been saying before, that's in brilliant condition, as in not falling apart due to age, you put a new filter on it that's safe to use and in good condition and fits properly with the mask, yes, it would be adequate. The issue is, with any masks that, as they get older and older over time, that are surplus, how do you know it's in good enough condition? Thank you very much, David. Let me add you. PBF filters may contain asbestos, but other than that, it is good enough, yes. Homemade gas masks, the issue is a lot of people can't make them well enough. If you can't get anything, it's certainly better than nothing. The issue is with a lot of homemade masks, and I've seen pictures of them, they wouldn't make a very good airtight seal, therefore they're pretty much worthless, for the same reason surgical masks are worthless, and stuff like that. I'll ask you, about Iran. AR-80, are you all right, and how's it in your area, and do you think the numbers the government is putting out is accurate, or do you believe those health officials or whoever it was, or the doctors that were saying it was 50 plus dead? Obviously the most important thing is you stay safe and don't say anything that might endanger you. But yeah, anything you can tell us would be good to know, because obviously at the moment there's lots of conflicting info out there, you know, and again, when you get info directly from people like in the places where the virus is, I take that a lot more seriously than, you know, when you've got government officials going, fine, don't worry about it. I can't link any really directly, and I don't know if YouTube would let me do it in the terms of keeping my account alive. But if you go on BitChute, there's plenty of videos coming out of Wuhan. Again, I can't verify them. LiveLeak, there's videos of Wuhan. On YouTube, there's videos of Wuhan that sometimes get taken down. Right, my personal favourite NBC suit, that basically is an all-in-one piece NBC suit, is my Polish Fu 1 suit. In terms of, like, just sort of a custom suit, the fishing waders I've got with a rubberized NBC suit. For lightweight NBC suits, though, and just like cheapo sort of chemical suits, the Lakeland chemical suit I've got is quite good. I've already answered that one. Coronavirus. P3, P100 filters are adequate. So just as I'm getting some messages, I'll just quickly check what they are. Cheers, John Kane. I don't know what's available in your area or anything like that. Anything that has P3, P100 filters, if it's a half face mask, wear goggles with it. If it's a full face mask, as long as you've got a P3, P100 filter, you should be fine. If it can get in via the ears, all you have to do is wear a raincoat with it. That's literally it, simple as that. I don't know if it can get in via the ears or not, but if you don't want to take the chance, literally just get a raincoat and put the hood over. Simple. Oh yeah, Steve, I reckon anybody that minister's been in contact with has it. I don't know what you mean by snorkel mask. If you mean one of those snorkel masks that seals around your face and has the bit that goes up, if you could fit a filter to that and it's airtight, then that should work. The problem is, again, that's only if you can't get a proper mask. I'd ever recommend doing something like that. Tyvek suit should be fine. I've got a Tychem behind me, but a Tyvek should be absolutely fine. I find suits like that, the good thing is you can decontaminate them easily, or at least take them off easily. Because again, they stop the clothes you're wearing underneath and your skin underneath getting, germs on it, basically. I'd always go for too small Black Mirror over too large. Too small might be uncomfortable, but it's very rare a too small mask won't make a face seal. Whereas if you get too large and you can't tighten it properly, it has a gap in it. It's useless as a mask. So if you have the option of too small, it's airtight but uncomfortable, or too big, it's not airtight but it's comfortable, only one of those will actually protect you. So go for too small but not comfortable. It seems very likely it can get in via the eyes, yes. So make sure you wear goggles with a half face mask, or just wear a full face mask. Yes, they are fun with guns, but the issue is they're not as easy to decontaminate, and if they get wet, they can be damaged. Thank you very much, Mitch. That is completely stupid suggestion, I would say, at the moment. Now we know it's basically an aerosol, airborne. If you are going to be in contact with people or in areas where it's likely to be around, you definitely want a mask. Just simply, there's a reason the doctors are wearing the masks, and that hero Chinese doctor who died, and I'm not saying that ironically, I mean the one who actually tried to warn everybody and the commies, were trying to gulag him, that one, and then went back to work rather than fleeing when he was released. The reason he got infected was because he was wearing all the PPE and he was fine when working with most people. Then he was working apparently with an elderly woman who wasn't showing symptoms, so he didn't bother wearing his mask, and that's when he caught it. So yes, we know protective equipment works. That's why, militaries have had NBC gear for since World War One. Because this stuff does protect you from threats. It's just not necessarily all that comfortable. I would hope so, Mitch Blitz, but I don't know. I really don't know. I'll see if I can find out for you, because one of my friends, his mum is a nurse in a hospital. So I'll ask him and see what he comes back with. Yeah, not a bad idea to keep an FM12 on you. With a lot of masks, you can just wear them in a pouch, can't you, if you don't want to wear them on your face. Yeah, if that's all true, Kevo, it is literally a bioweapon tier level of threat, isn't it? Where basically any hole is its goal in that kind of way of looking at it. So yeah, better suit up. Why do you think it's this early? Have you seen the videos coming out of China, Euros? Have you seen what's happened in Italy all of a sudden? Have you seen what's happened to South Korea? Have you seen what's happened to Iran? Also, was the Iranian person, is he back in the chat and posting things? Yep, so you can decontaminate them the same way. I don't know with Tyveks if they actually have any kind of rubberized coating on, or plasticky coating. Tychem is pretty much just plastic. And I know Lakeland suits, which I think are equivalent to the Tyvek. I really like my Lakeland suit. Is like a very thin plastic layer on regular fabric. So it basically just means that it's like a dust suit that's got, you know, a waterproof layer on to a degree. I think that's the exact same thing Tyvek are, so you would decon them just by spraying them with rubbing alcohol or bleach or whatever. You don't need one for the GSR because the GSR has 40mm ports under the thing. I'll tell you what I'll do. This week I will get a video done on how to convert the GSR convert to just take 40mm filters. Because enough people have been asking me for long enough, and I know a lot of people are worried about it, so I'll just do a video on it. I don't care if I damage my mask in the process, because who cares? Getting information out to people is more important than if I damage a mask that I'm not going to use anyway. What a lot of people have been recommending, Oliver, in like healthcare and kind of stuff like that things, is certain types of bleaches, alcohol above 70%, so, you know, 70% plus rubbing alcohol. Sanitizer gels, again, above 70% alcohol. Yeah, I'm very grateful to anybody that donates that amount. I'm very grateful to anybody who donates anything at all, because it all helps, especially with YouTube demonetizing so much so recently. But yeah, the bigger donations are obviously always welcome, because I really do appreciate it. I am thankful for that. But yeah. Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate it. It's always nice, though, when you get people saying nice things rather than like, I hope you die, or I hope your parents die, or, you know, I hope everybody you love dies, or, you know, that kind of thing. You're a prick. Just those random comments you randomly get. Thankfully, though, at the moment, I've been getting far more nice comments than bad comments, which I think just shows you that most people do appreciate any info they can get. Thank you, Robin. I really appreciate that. Work says, hey, how long do filters of half or full face masks last for once in used, and how would you be replaced? Thanks for replying. If they're just particulate filters, they'll last until they clog up and you struggle to breathe through them. Which just literally means, you know, months and months for most people, unless you're somebody really in a really foggy place. Black Spider, you said, please help me. What cartridge for 3M 6500? Let me search which one that is. Same filters for any of these. So, for example, 6038s, any of the ones that are P3, P100. Just search 3M P3 P100 filter. Any of those. It's the same connectors that they all take. Sorry if I'm missing people's comments, but as usual, there's 627 people on, so the chat is moving really fast. It's really hard to keep up with. I think the doctors definitely should be wearing stuff, Jamie, because in a lot of hospitals and clinics now, we're now seeing doctors are getting infecting it and then spreading it to more patients, which is, you know, doctors essentially doing the opposite of the job they should be doing. You know, they're trying to help people, but then if they're spreading a disease to them that could potentially be fatal, that's not good, is it? So I think people wearing masks just protects everybody, because if you're less likely to catch it, you're less likely to pass it on. I wanted to go to Chernobyl. We're planning on this year. It's not going to be happening now, just because if you see what's going on with flights being cancelled and all that, pretty lucky we hadn't booked that holiday, to be honest. I think in most places, people trying to breach quarantine shouldn't be shot. I think they should essentially be arrested at that point and be put into lockdown quarantine. But in most first world countries, you wouldn't need to shoot people trying to break quarantine, because they wouldn't have a way of breaking quarantine anyway. But if it does get really bad, I imagine you could assume martial law will happen in a lot of countries. Oh, thank you very much, Nathan. I appreciate that. He said, what is a good mask for wearing with glasses? Also reasonable for looking for optics. Right. Unless you get optical inserts for a mask, you're going to want something that seals around the neck. So something like an Avon escape hood, or any of the escape hoods that tie at the neck. A Polish SR1 mask also ties at the neck. Or you could get a half face mask. Any of the half face masks, wear glasses, then get goggles on. So, for example, let me show you. Let's get this 3M one, for example. Actually, no, I'll just use this JSP. Sorry. Let's say this JSP Force 8. Let me put this one on and I'll demonstrate it for you. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, I've got that on there. It's airtight sealing. I've got the glasses on. I've got some goggles behind me as well. I can't put a firearm, unfortunately, on the stream because YouTube stops that in the rules, but you could get a pretty good cheek weld, or at least, you know, get a sight picture like this. So any half face mask combined with skiing goggles or chemical goggles, that should be fine. If you get a full face mask, again, I'll repeat the masks I recommended. Polish SR1, because it ties at the neck, or any of the escape hoods like the Avon escape hoods. As much as I don't really like escape hoods, they do seal at the neck, not around the face, so glasses will work fine with them. So hope that survives, but thank you for the donation. Let me just catch up with the chat again. I don't want to miss, I saw somebody donated and I think I've missed his message. JM, keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. Jams, thank you for the £5. He said, have you seen some of the people in China making improvised masks of bottles? Yeah, I think if you've got nothing, that's certainly better than nothing, especially like the people, although now we know it's fully aerosol, it's fully an aerosol airborne, this won't help, but the ones I've seen where they got the plastic bottles and basically like the water cooler bottles cut them so it was just like a face guard, so when you breathed you'd have to breathe air coming from under it, and then they were wearing it with a surgical mask. That's actually a pretty good idea. That's certainly going to help a lot more than not having anything. I mean, now we know it's fully airborne, that probably isn't good enough, but at least that's something, because it means people can't sneeze directly into your face, and things like that. It's like wearing a riot mask almost, like that riot mask I had on earlier. It'd be like, say I had this on. Let me just put this back on. So let's say I've got the this half face mask on. Just take my glasses off a second, but yeah, let's say I have this half face mask on. Then I've got my glasses over the top. I know they're not ideal, but actually no, I just won't use them with that. They don't fit very well with this one. It's basically like using this like a face shield. So that's what they were doing with the bottles there, which is actually quite a good idea, because it stops somebody sneezing directly into your eyes or your face if you've got any kind of cover over you like that. You actually see a lot of medical workers have been doing a similar thing, where they've got those medical masks that look like riot visors. They're not to protect you from an impact, but it just stops spittle and things flying into your face. Stops the doctor giving anything to the patient and the patient sneezing on the doctor. So, yeah, the improvised masks are actually pretty good. As I said, a lot of the time when I see improvised masks, I think they're pretty useless. But again, if you can't get anything, it's better than nothing, isn't it? Because you're at least giving you some, improved percentage chance of protection. So, yeah, good on them. Goggles should be airtight, Pixel. If you get goggles that aren't airtight, get duct tape or electrical tape, plumber's tape, something like that, and do them around them to make them airtight. Yeah, I think less people would find half face masks, Violet Skydiver, creepy looking, And I said you can wear airtight goggles or, like watertight goggles with a half face mask, so it doesn't look as intimidating. But again, it depends on the mask. Because a panoramic mask, like this one or the one I did the video on earlier, the mag, wherever I've put that, those masks to me look a lot less intimidating, one where you can see a lot of a person's face, than having a military mask of two little eye holes. So again, it depends. I generally always advise when if shit really hits the fan, it won't matter. But for the most part, I would advise you pick masks that, don't freak out other people if you can. Oh, and thank you to Martin123. And he said, don't forget, sick people can projectile vomit. I hope not, but, again, if you've got a face shield, that helps. Thank you very much, Khalil. Thank you for the donation. He said, love the channel. I got a 3M6800 aerosolized. I can never pronounce that word, but yeah. Which one's a 3M6800? Problem is the 3M masks. There's so many of them are numbers rather than actual names. I always forget. Oh, it's the full face one. Yeah, that would be brilliant. Put some P3 or put even better, the P3 filters combined with the charcoal, like the 3M A2 P3 ones or whatever on. Gold. Well, Victoria, it doesn't matter if you've got military masks. At the end of the day, it's better having something that protects you, even if it looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Also, because there's over double the amount of people on the stream than the people of like, don't forget to give the stream a like. I always hate saying that, but because YouTube seems to demonetize a lot of these, you know, and you know, doesn't like, I think, anybody other than the World Health Organization talking about coronavirus. Clearly interested people watching them there, but just if you like, it seems to share these videos to more people asking for advice. So thanks for that. Well, in all honesty, if you didn't have anything other than BDSM latex overalls, they would protect you. Personally, I wouldn't want to be seen wearing that, but, you know, if that's your kink and it protects you, then go for it, I guess. Yeah, that's good, Robot Geek. I'm not used to that when people actually like it on request, because a lot of the time I think people go, oh, you're asking me to like it, fuck off. But, right, P3 filters don't expire, Alexander, like charcoal filters do. P3, P100 particle filters, they clog up as you use them. A good example is this dust filter I got in my room. So let me turn it off a second. It's a heater filter. Let me get it out. So I'm afraid this is a bit gross looking, but that's because it's doing its job. So this is how a filter works. Basically, they get more and more dusty and clogged the more you use them. So what happens is this is like the filter in your gas mask, the P3 or P100 filter. So what happens is the more you breathe through it, the more it clogs, but the more it clogs, the more efficient it gets. Eventually, it will be so clogged you can't breathe through it, and you're like, you know, this is really, really hard to breathe through, I need to replace it. But it's not going to just suddenly run out on you when you're wearing it down the street or anything like that. The more you use it, the more it runs out, basically. But again, the more smoke and dust and everything in the environment, the faster it wears out. Thank you very much. Fire like this. It's super effective. Yeah, I mean, I think anybody at the moment. The thing is, what we're seeing in Italy at the moment, I was reassembling my keeper before I forget to. What we're seeing happen in Italy, I don't think it really, you know, matters at this point if somebody's Chinese or not. And I'm not saying that to be an SJW. I just mean we found out that, you know, clearly, whatever race you are, if you're infected, and you can just spread it just as easily. The guy who spread it to the most people we know of in the UK was a white Englishman, you know, so. I don't have any Myra masks, so I can't recommend them or not recommend them because I haven't personally got any opinions on them. If I ever get Myra. Oh, and thank you very much. I assume that's meant to be Nintendo Boy or Nintendo Boy 12. Thank you very much for the donation. I love your videos, my guy. They help me a lot with masks. I started collecting thanks to you, and your info has helped me a lot with friends and family as well. Cheers. Thank you. I hope you stay safe, you know. But thank you to everybody that donates because I appreciate it. Because as I said, the problem is I make type of videos YouTube demonetizes. This is kind of my job 5 days a week out of the 7. And then 2 days a week I'm doing another job. And then 1 day a week I'm also doing charity volunteering. I know that adds to 8, but that's because Thursday I do charity stuff as well. But I appreciate that because it just helps me get stuff, you know. So when people ask me to review a mask, if people donate money, it means I can at least, you know, cover my expenses for getting the mask. Oh, thank you very much again, Rusty. He says, have any guns to defend yourself by the accent? I'm assuming not. My 50 weeps for the general cuckoldry of that part of the world. Wow. I've got crossbows and I've got swords and things like that. I should show you the bill hooks. There's swords, but sadly, no, I don't have any live firearms. But in the UK, if you get a firearms certificate, you have to be very, very careful what you say online. Because let's say I have a FAC, a firearms certificate in the UK, because you can own shotguns and like rifles in the UK. Once you own them, you're kind of on a much higher police watch list where they take much more interest in what you say. So it's almost like you lose more freedom of speech by owning a firearm here. Yeah, there's a hotel in Tenerife, and there was a doctor there, wasn't there? An Italian doctor who'd been there for like over a week. Let me add you, Pete Hunter, but I will show you some of the stuff for the other guy. I will show you some of the stuff I've got that could be effective. I don't want to suggest too much because I'm in the UK, and again, no freedom of speech to speak of, and it just gets worse the more things you own. But for example, look at the sword and katanas up there. There's a rapier in the back. My favourite thing's my falchion. The bill hook and everything aren't in this room, but you know, something I could use if worst case scenario happened, you know, to defend my life and liberty. Let's put it that way. Let's get it out. Bear with me a moment because I've got all this stacked into the corner, so it's how, you know, it's neat more than anything. But, again, it's a bit dusty because I haven't used it in ages, but you know, in the UK, Right, I'm really hoping YouTube doesn't class this as a firearm, because I'm in big trouble if I'm holding this now and it's classed as a firearm. But yeah, crossbows and things like that, crossbows, bows, swords, pole arms, all that's allowed in the UK. If you said, I'm going to use this to shoot somebody, and you'd be breaking the law. But, you know, just simply owning them, and then if something bad happened and you've got them, nothing wrong with that. So yeah, we're not as probably disarmed as a lot of people think, even though, yeah, we're nowhere near, we don't have anyone in the sort of liberties of America. We can own bolt action 50 BMG, like anti-material rifles, Rusty, but we can't own ones that are semi-auto. It's certainly not a firearm, but knowing the UK, an air rifle is a firearm according to the UK once it goes over a certain power. So, you know, lots of weird shit like that, isn't there? I'm just going to put this back now, but yeah. I've got quite a few crossbows. A lot of my older videos are on crossbows and bows, but I don't do videos on them as much anymore just because the climate's getting worse and worse talking about them. You know, with people getting very, very funny about it. I don't think the NHS will cope. The best thing possible for everybody here is as soon as people accept my friend's invite, who have donated, can you just send me a message asking for an invite so I can invite you to the service so I don't forget anybody? The problem is with the NHS is obviously, I'll go back. Thank you. Well, thank you for all the donations that came in quickly. Let me answer these questions and I'll go back to talking about the NHS. Right. So H. Elliot says, is the NATO standard filter for the M15 good? Yep, that's an Israeli Type 80 filter normally. They are very good. They are ABEC P3 as far as I'm aware, so very good filters. MG says he donated $5. Thank you again. My uncle is currently in the hospital because he has been dealing with severe flu-like symptoms for the past 3 days. Really hope he's all right. Right, really hope he pulls through. Really hope he's all right. It could just be flu. But the problem is a lot of people are thinking now that what people were thinking was a seasonal flu thing in a lot of countries might be coronavirus. We don't know. Hopefully they can do the tests on him and that. And, you know, he's in the best place if he's in a hospital. But it's better he has it now before, you know, hospitals get overrun. Let's look at it that way. So all the best to him. I hope he does well. But, you know, sorry to hear that. But, you know, I think it's better if he's ill at this time than if he got ill in like 2 months, say, with what's currently going on. William the Butcher's Sun Productions, thank you for the donation, mate. I'm just back to my boarding school after half term. Several students have returned from Asia and Northern Italy. Half term and the school is doing nothing about it. Well, interestingly, I think that's bad they're doing nothing about it, but interestingly, wasn't there a boarding school somewhere or a private school somewhere that has sent people home and told them not to come in due to the fact they were in Italy or something? So yeah, I think they should be paying attention to this because clearly other schools are now starting to think, oh, that's a bad idea. So yeah. Let me just go back to the NHS. There's somebody spamming please answer in the chat. I don't know what he's asked me. If he asks a question again, I'll try and answer it. But all right, regarding the NHS, like I was sort of saying about, you know, when I was being asked before about the thing about hospitals, is I think pretty much anywhere, and this would apply to the NHS, the more understaffed your hospitals are, the worse it's going to be. Oh, thank you very much, Big Ten. He said, bought myself an FM12 from seeing your vid last week. Keep up the good work. Cheers. I really hope you enjoy the FM12. It's a brilliant mask, in my opinion. Right, so what was on about the NHS with, right? With any hospital, and the more it's understaffed and underfunded anyway, the worse it's going to be. The best thing possible is if the infection is a slower rate of people getting infected. If it's a slower rate of people being infected, hospitals can deal with it better because the staff won't be so thinly stretched. You know, oxygen tanks and all that can go around. What's going to happen is if lots and lots of people, you know, like Italy, suddenly you have hundreds of cases within a few days, especially if they're clustered in one area, hospitals aren't going to cope as well. Because what's going to happen is there's not going to be enough oxygen and air tanks to go around or doctors to go around to treat people. You know, everything's going to be stretched thinner. So I think, like a few people have been saying, we're not going to stop this virus getting here. What we have to do is take every measure possible to avoid infecting people and ourselves So hospital systems and doctors are under the least stress possible. Right. Well, thank you, Gamcal, for the £5. I'm tempted to use the money I've been saving up for driving lessons on prepping. I'm not sure if I should be worried enough about this to prep. I'd say always be practical. Learning to drive is a really good thing for your future. You know, I'm really happy I learned to drive. I was originally sort of not wanting to do it. And then my parents sort of forced me into it, paid a bit, and, you know, I had to pay the majority of my driving lessons sort of thing, but they paid a bit towards it. Really glad they did kick my ass into doing it because, you know, when I learned to drive, I've got a car. It's helped me with job opportunities. I do charity volunteering. It's turned me into a lot more confident person because, you know, it gives you a lot of independence having a car, thinking I can go out and do this if I want to because I can drive there. So by all means, you know, please, please, please do learn to drive. But, you know, if you can put a little bit of money to the side for prepping, it is sensible. Don't go over the board, you know, to tinfoil hat levels of prepping, but simply, you know, having food reserves, having some sort of basic respirator all helps. Caroline Philby donated $9.99. Thank you very much. I bought a BB gun to protect myself. Is this enough? Can you friend me, please? If you want to be friends on Discord, give me your Discord ID and I can invite you to server. The thing is with a BB gun, it depends what the velocity is. If it's like a Red Rider, it will certainly hurt somebody if you shot them with it. If it's an airsoft gun, they're designed not to. A crossbow, if you ever want something for self-defense, and I'm in the UK, so I shouldn't be advising people on this. If you ever wanted something for self-defense, I would always recommend a crossbow over it or some sort of pole arm or whatever else like that. Let's hope it doesn't get as bad as that, you know, for the time being. But was there another donation as well I missed? Or oh yeah, Nintendo Boy donated again. Thank you very much, Nintendo Boy. I also wanted to ask, I found someone selling 3D printed GOS to 40mm NATO adapters on eBay. I can't link it here because of the length restrictions, but I wondered, is this something you do on the video if you had phones? I'm going to try and get one of those. The only problem is some of them I've seen from the US are very expensive in terms of when they're shipping and handling and all that put on it and tax. If I find a UK seller with some, I'll buy them. The only problem I've had recently is I had somebody who, there was a Patreon post, I don't know if people saw this about this, where I had somebody basically says, he makes them, here's a donation, give me your personal details and let's set something up. And that set off a lot of alarm bells for me, you know, as in, can you shield my adapters sort of thing. It might have been completely innocent, but I just refunded the bloke, you know, by blocking him because I didn't want anything to do with a business transaction like that. Because I really don't want companies to start saying to me, I'll give you donations if you do special coverage of my masks. You know, it always sounds a bit off to me. But yeah, by all means, if I find on Etsy or eBay in the UK that I can get hold of one of these, I will definitely do a thing on it. Apparently, some people have said they work absolutely fine, but I've never tested one myself, so I can't comment in that regard. Well, there's ABEC 2 P3. There's also A3 P3. You can't get above a P3 on particle protection unless you've got a P3 filter and then you put another P3 filter in front of it or whatever. Yeah, you can do that as well, Steve Allen. Yeah, if you've got an old pair of glasses that are spares, yeah, take the arms off, cable tie or whatever, this bit of it, the bridge bit of the glasses, or glue it in. That would work to an extent, yeah. No, what did the text say? I'm very interested. Please type it on here. I really wish people wouldn't modify masks. If they modify them for something that personally benefits them and it's not a rare mask, just so, you know, it gives them a better level of protection, that's fine. When it's people who are modifying masks, especially if they're rare masks, you know, essentially permanently damaging them for fetish reasons or just because they think it looks cool, I'm not really a fan of that. You know, it's like somebody buying a classic car and doing a really shit paint job on it and ripping out a lot of the guts. You know, please keep it as it is. It's a historical artifact. Jupiter Ascending says the Earth is flat. No, it's not. I'm going to go off fairly soon, but a massive thank you to all the donations tonight. I really appreciate it because obviously it all goes towards, like I said, helping me get stuff to review and, you know, and I'm just glad I can help people, to be honest, because it's just really nice for my channel now all of a sudden that a lot of people have found it, thanks to people suddenly being interested in respirators. Hopefully I'll get to 100k subs fairly soon. Let's see what I'm on at the moment. I think it was 73,000 last time I looked. Yeah, 73,833. So by midnight tonight or the early morning tomorrow, I might be at 74,000 subs. But to give you some idea, I think in near the end of January, I was like mid 60k subs, so it's gone up really quickly. Is there a way of actually getting, when people have donated, clicking the messages to make them appear? Because I can click at the top. I'm just trying to make sure I haven't missed any donations, because I can see at the top when people have. But I think it might have just been the 2 and 10 boy comments. Oh, it was Big Ted and 10 boy. That's fine. So I've not missed any. Again, I'm really apologetic if somebody's donated and I've missed a comment. I just wish there was a way of having only super chats in the column as well, because I've been getting so many recently. But what's a GMP gas mask? Let me look it up, Scorpion, for you. If it's P3 or P100 rated. I don't know which one this is. There's one that says number 36 Jordan that looks like some weird fashion statement bling thing. No, I don't think that would protect you. Any of the ones coming up that look like industrial masks, they certainly will. I already have done, David. If you look at my old videos, there's one on that. I think it's called What Does ABEC Filters Mean? Let me link it for you in the chat. Right, so here's a video of me. There you go. That's exactly what you want there that I've just posted the link for. Steve, thank you very much for the $5 donation. He said, thanks, mate. All your info has really helped. I'm glad it's helped you. I hope everybody stays safe and everything. I mean, the best thing we can hope is that, I guess, at this stage, because it's just spread to too many people, the strain somehow mutates and becomes less virulent. But sadly, from what we're seeing from Iran, it seems like that's not the case. But yeah, Israeli M15s are bloody good masks. That's the one I had in the thumbnail. Put a P3, P100 filter on it, or like a military NBC filter. Very good. My very first GP5 I got from a military surplus store and I got ripped off because I paid £20 for it with just the mask and filter. My second one I got off Amazon Prime for like 10 quid. Yeah, wasn't $1.5 trillion wiped off the stock market yesterday or something? I did a video called Top 10 Scariest Gas Masks, so maybe you should watch that one. Right, with the Y2K, as in Soviet U2K, Y2K masks, these ones, hang on. Some of these have different protection levels than others. You can get these in P1, P2, and P3 versions. If you look there, it says FFP1 on this one, so it's not very good. I'd say always go for a P3 one, but, you know, they are good masks if you get the ones that are good protective levels. Let me look that up, Safi, because I don't know what that is off the top of my head. Printing money doesn't actually make your economy better off, though. It generally inflates the economy. So if China's printing money, I don't think it's going to help. Is that a mask? Let me take the Italian bit off and just search BLS 500. That looks absolutely fine. It kind of reminds me of an MSA Millennium, but with just 2 side filters. But that looks absolutely fine. If it makes a good face seal, that should be good. That's fine, Nintendo. Thank you very much for the donation. If I can't find one in the UK, I think just because so many people have asked me to do it, I will get a US one. It's not stupid money. It's just, you know, if you're paying tax and more expensive shipping, just because, you know, on a cheap item, it just doesn't seem worth it. But as enough people have requested it, I will look tonight. If I can't find a UK seller or a European seller with one in for a good price, I'll just get one from the US. Yeah, I did a review on the Friends not very long ago, and it is good, to answer your question. Yes, it is good. Very good voice diaphragm on it, a lot of people told me. Yep. The gases that tend to burn through masks easily or damage the masks easily is lewisite and mustard gas, because they're blister agents. That's why silicone is not very good for military masks. But against coronavirus, any mask, rubber is fine as long as it fits your face well. I'll be going off in a couple of minutes. This has been a really good stream, and thank you massively again for all the donations I've had. I've really appreciated it. But we're not on about spray paint, are we? We're on about coronavirus. But again, like I said to people, if you want an extra level of protection, get A2 P3 filters. But from all the biologists and that I've spoken to, P3 is good enough. The thing is with spray paint is it's got something else in it as well as the paint. It's got like other thinners and things like that, hasn't it, as well as the aerosols. Thank you very much, Kane. Is the Pro 2000 CF22A2P3 a good filter? Let me look that up, but as it's A2P3, is this the Scott one? That will be good. Yeah, that is the one I'm thinking of. That is good. The only issue with it is that Scott filters tend to come in plastic bags rather than being properly sealed. But in terms of the filter medium, yes, it's a very good filter. Didn't Trump today say he's upping US mask production? Like he wants 3M and all those companies to start making a massive amount of masks? That's very possible, Weebs Gaming. Lots of people could have it and don't know, because it seems for like a week or two, lots of people are asymptomatic or just feel slightly off. So it's really impossible to know unless you get tested officially. There's no way of knowing, but I'd say to most people, don't panic. That's quite dangerous. Thank you very much, Unknown. Air-fed masks from China. Let me search those, see which ones they are. Oh, you mean the ones that run on Papa systems or airlines? They're probably all right, assuming they're well-designed masks in the first place. The issue is I've never bought any, and I personally wouldn't really want to mess around with oxygen tanks. For anybody wondering what mead I've been drinking recently, this stuff's bloody lovely. Ivan, you keep saying please. Oh, is the 60mm Yugoslav filter good for Corona? I'd say go for something newer. If you can't get anything better, then yes, by all means use it. It's at least got a filter medium in there, but they're pretty ancient at this point. No, it's mead. It's about 15%, but I've become a bit of a mead addict recently just because I really, really love the taste of mead, and it's just the right alcohol percent for me. Having like 12 to 15% wines for me, I find is the sweet spot of, you know, finding it enjoyable drinking it, but not thinking, oh, I've had too much. Still the Avon CT12, but in my car, I've got the FM12 and the Spaziani TR2002. 731 Climax is good. That's in this room somewhere. I don't know if it's all that accessible, but that is in this room somewhere. Let's pop the pen back on there. I don't want it to get crushed. How accessible it is, I don't know. I don't know if I put it in this box or another box, but the Climax was in this room somewhere. Actually, was it in this box? And then I just put it more near the top of the box recently. This is the problem though, when people ask me about certain masks during the stream, I end up going and looking for them. Right, I can't see the Climax off the top of my head, but I do have one. Oh yeah, air compressor tank. The thing is, Unknown, thank you for the donation. I personally, because I'm not trained in using airlines and all that, I wouldn't want to mess around with it. If you're trained to use all that stuff, it might be good, but I'd say if you're using a Chinese mask and airline, make sure you use not a Chinese air tank. You know, like get an American or a British or like German air tank, and like, you know, all the pressure regulators, because you don't want it exploding on you or, you know, suddenly decompressing. But yeah, to answer your question, the Climax 731 is a pretty good mask. Out of it and some of the other panoramic masks I've got, it's not the best, but it's very, very serviceable. So if you can get one for a good price, certainly get it. It's just, you know, if somebody said to me, you could have a Climax or a Spaziani, I'd say Spaziani any day of the week because it's more comfortable. The Finnish M65s and M71s, KM. Yes, very good. Weirdly behind me. This is apparently the Finnish M65, not the M71. As I think Visa told me in a couple of other Finns on here. But both this one and the M71 later variant of it, yes, very good. And any of the ones called Sabre that look like this, but slightly different. Finnish masks in general, every Finnish mask I've ever had has been brilliant. The Finns can actually make good masks. You know, with some countries like Britain, we make both shit masks and good masks. And a lot of countries are like that, but I don't think I've ever had a Finnish mask where I thought, this is bad. It seems like Finland is a very good country when it comes to actually making good quality respirators. I'd say with everybody, don't worry, don't panic, but think about steps you need to take. For example, if you have elderly or sick relatives, I would say minimize contact with them, not to be horrible, like phone them up, chat with them on Skype and stuff like that. But for their own safety, try and have the least amount of physical contact with them as possible. Make sure there's enough food in your house in case you need to bunker down. Have all sorts of sensible supplies. The important thing is not to panic, but, make your own plans. Don't rely on the government to ride in and save you. Ha ha ha, Peach. He said it becomes Finland finishes them. In the UK, if you can get an S10, they're very good. Scott GSRs, the later ones are all right. I don't like the early GSRs, but later produced GSRs are all right. But in the UK, there's lots of masks available. Czech CM4s are still available for sale at the moment, so I'd say get a Czech CM4 if you want one. Oh, there's my CM4. I was looking for this earlier because I was talking to Bart about it. But yeah, there's a Czech CM4. Some of these are still available at decent prices online. If it's still in good condition and your filter for it still works, yes, the Swedish M51, which is another M9 clone, would protect you. Out of the two, I slightly, Daniel, prefer the Furnez, I think, just because it's got a good voice diaphragm on it, but both are very good masks. I think if you got either, you wouldn't be unhappy with them. Most Czech masks have discoloration, I think, because they were either grey or, either pure grey or pure green to start with, weren't they? And then just over time, they've changed colour a bit. But the rubber doesn't seem bad on them. It still seems supple, good rubber. Serbian M2s are good. I like the Serbian M2. The only issue is they seem to have the same habit of melting, apparently, as the Yugo's M1s have. Right, thank you very much, Lammy. As a medical student, anecdotally, there are some anxious speculations occurring between my colleagues. The tone of discussion appears to be changing. Yes, this is the thing I was saying. Thank you again for the donation. I've noticed on the news that the thing is, what a lot of people were saying to begin with is, you should have a degree of keeping an eye on this and, taking more and more precautions as and when it gets worse. But the problem is that the media has been playing this game of saying it's just the flu, even when we didn't know much about it. And then when it turned out the R0 was higher than the flu, just saying it's just the flu, and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden going, oh, it's bad, isn't it? It's bad, which will cause people to panic buy and take stupid decisions. So I think what most people should be doing is keeping an eye on it and escalating their concern as and when the situation escalates, but always making plans, so you don't let other people down as well as yourself. Anyway, I'm going to go off now. A massive thank you for everybody that donated. I really appreciated it. I'm glad to help Freya. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody that's not liked it, as and when you go off, just because that gives, seems to make YouTube share them a bit more. And at the moment, YouTube has been sharing the videos, even though they're demonetized, pretty much all the recent ones, but who cares? I'm helping people. And the donations cover more than what I'd ever make on ad revenue anyway. So thank you, everybody. Oh, and thank you, Secure Mindset. There's no way I can PM you through YouTube. You have a Discord ID, because then you can be invited to the server. But you can let me know that at a later point, because I'm just going off now. But yeah, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'll stream tomorrow, probably 8 or 9 p.m. UK time again, because that's when I can do them the most easily. Oh, and thank you very much, Rusty. Let me read your comment before I go off. I hope it's not like last night, where every time I tried to go off, somebody would give me a donation. The tyranny here is following the UK in lockstep. Half my comments on here have to be heavily redacted into nonsense to pass the censor. If our older conservatives get wiped, we don't have guns along. Yeah, I've been hearing about that and chatting with Americans about it. The thing that people don't understand is once you hand your rights in, you will struggle to get them back. I would say never trade, rights for security, because telling the government, giving rights to a government that isn't necessarily going to hold you in good account has never played out well in history for a lot of people. But yeah, so goodbye, everybody. But yeah, for any Americans, just bear in mind when the UK has done more and more laws restricting certain things, it's never stopped criminals. But yeah, thanks, everybody. Good night. I want to get off before I get distracted again, but have a good evening, everybody. I'll be on tomorrow at some point.